The wind sings a hollow song through the ribs of God. For generations. This is the only truth the clan of the Bone Cathedral has known. Their world is the bleached white arch of a thoracic cage. A shelter of incomprehensible scale left by a fallen Argentinosaurus in a time so distant it has become myth. They are a people born in the shadow of a skeleton. Their lives measured by the slow erosion of the divine vertebrae that tower over them. But now, God offers no food. The plains, viewed from the perch of the giant's fossilized hip, are a canvas of brown and ochre, swept clean of the herds that once migrated past. The earth, usually thick with the scent of trampled grass and distant life, is thin and sharp with the promise of hunger. Inside the rickpit, the fires burn low. The faces illuminated by the dying light are gaunt, their eyes reflecting a quiet desperation that gnaws deeper than any predator. This is the brutal reality of their prehistoric life. A world that does not care if they starve. Listen now to the marrow of this story. Elder Kale stands before the heart cavity, his staff, a polished femur of some lesser beast, tapping a slow, rhythmic beat against the colossal fossil. His voice, dry as sun-baked earth, carries through the cavernous space. The Great One provides. He chants, his words echoing off the bone walls. The Great One tests our faith. In its divine slumber, it shelters us from the tearing claws and the sky demons. It asks only for patience. The herds will return. His followers, the older members of the clan, nod in slow, somber agreement. They have seen lean times before. Their trust is etched as deep as the stress fractures in the ancient bone. But the young do not share their placid faith. Lyra watches him, her knuckles white where she grips a spear fashioned with a sharpened slither from the giant's own form. A piece of their osteodontocratic technology. She sees not faith, but a slow death. She sees the hollow cheeks of the children, the weakness in the arms of the hunters. Patience is a luxury for the full-bellied. The tension is a living thing, a predator stalking the spaces between them. Lyra steps forward, the scuff of her high-drapped feet a defiant sound in the sacred silence. Patience starves the child in its mother's arms. Elder, she says, her voice clear and steady. The herds are not returning. They have found new paths. We see it from the Watcher's crest. We see the tracks veer west, toward the Broken Fang peaks. Kel turns his head slowly, his eyes, clouded with age and dogma, fixating on her. He represents the soul of their history, the core of their hominid history built on static safety. To leave the shadow of the Great One is blasphemy. He rasped, out there is the domain of the sharp-toothed lords, the running cutters. Here, we are safe. I echo frettles to the crowd, a dry, hacking sound of dust and emptiness. Lyra's gaze sweeps over the young hunters gathered near her. Their faces a mixture of fear and simmering agreement. This is the hard choice, the fulcrum upon which their survival balances, to die in the safety of a god's corpse, or to risk annihilation for a chance at life. Lyra asks what safety is, her voice rising, if it is just a tomb we build for ourselves. The question hangs in the boulder stare, an unanswered challenge, before the sun next bleeds across the horizon. The choice is made. Under the cold light of a crescent moon, a small party detaches from the sleeping clan. Lyra leads them, a dozen of the youngest, strongest hunters. Their movements like whispers in the Cathedral of the Dead. They slip past the great pelvic arch, leaving the hollow security of the giant behind. It is a silent act of rebellion, a schism born not of malice but of desperate necessity. Each step away from the familiar, towering ribs feels like a betrayal and deliberation. Out here, the wind has no walls to sing through. It bites and claws, carrying a sense of damp earth and distant, unseen things. The sky is a vast, terrifying emptiness, a stark contrast to the protective lattice of bone they have always known. This is the true prehistoric world, and for the first time, they are utterly exposed within it. Their small band of early humans is a fragile flicker of warmth in an immense, cold dirt. For 2 days they track the faint trails, their senses honed by a lifetime of listening for what hunts in the tall grass. Their hunger is a constant, dull ache, a reminder of the stakes. They move with a discipline that belies their age, a testament to the harsh lessons of their existence. On the third morning, from a low ridge of weathered rock, they see it, a sprawling basin where a shallow stream has breathed a line of green into the parched land. A flock of Gallimimus, hundreds strong, moves like a single, nervous organism, their heads bobbing and weaving as they pick at the sparse vegetation. And on the far side of the basin, half hidden in a grove of petrified trees, they see the true architects of their plan, a pack of 3 Carnotaurus. Their horned heads and ridiculously small arms unmistakable. The predators are patient, observing the herd, waiting for a straggler, a moment of weakness. Lyra and her hunters watch them both, understanding the brutal, simple calculus of this ecosystem. They are not strong enough to hunt the Gallimimus directly, and they are certainly no match for the horned carnivores. Their plan is therefore not one of strength, but of intellect. It is a gamble on their understanding of herd dynamics and primal fear. The plan unfolds with the quiet precision of a spider weaving its web. 2 hunters, the fastest runners, circle wide to the far side of the Gallimimus flock. The rest spread out along the ridge, gathering loose stones. Lyra gives the signal, a sharp whistle that mimics a hawk's cry. The runners break cover, yelling and waving their spears, driving the edge of the flock into a panic. The ripple of fear spreads instantly. At the same time, the hunters on the ridge begin hurling their stones into the heart of the flock. It is not about injuring them. It is about creating chaos, about steering the stampede. The ground begins to tremble as hundreds of 3-toed feet pound the earth. The flock, a taunt of panicked flesh and feathers, thunders directly toward the grove of petrified trees. The Carnotaurus back, startled by the sudden onslaught, has no time to react. The dinosaur battle is not a fight but a collision. The stampede crashes over them, a wave of pure, unthinking terror. One of the predators is trampled almost immediately, its powerful legs snapping like twigs. The other 2, bellowing in rage and pain, lash out, their massive jaws snapping down on the feathered bodies surging past them. It is a maelstrom of dust, screeches, and the wet tear of flesh. The hunters can only watch, their hearts pounding in their chests, as their desperate strategy plays out in a symphony of brutal violence. The dust settles, revealing a charnel house. The ground is a ruin of trampled earth, broken foliage, and lifeless forms. One Carnotaurus lies twisted, its neck at an impossible angle, a monument to the herd's unthinking power. The other 2 have vanished, leaving only a trail of blood and the echo of their enraged bellows. Scattered among the carnage are the bodies of a dozen Gallimimus, their slender legs broken, their feathered hides torn. The price of the gamble is steep, but the reward is life itself. Lyra and her hunters descend from the ridge, their exhaustion momentarily forgotten, replaced by a grim, focused energy. There is no celebration. The scent of fresh blood is an invitation that every predator for miles will soon receive. They work with a desperate speed, their flint knives and bone saws, the pinnacle of their primitive technology, slicing through hide and sinew. This is the ultimate expression of their survival skills, learned over generations of scarcity. They carve away huge haunches of meat, wrap them in hides, and prepare to carry a future back to their past. The journey back is a grueling ordeal. Each hunter is burdened with a weight that pushes their bodies to the limit, but the load is more than just meat. It is proof. It is the physical manifestation of their heresy. As they approach the bone cathedral, a silhouette against the setting sun, a silence falls over them. They are no longer just hunters. They are agents of change, and change is always met with fear. They emerge from the tall grass into the clearing before the giant's maul. The clan members gathered outside turn as one. A collective gasp ripples through them. They see not the defiant youths who left, but providers, caked in dried blood and dust, their frames stooped under the impossible weight of sustenance. Children, their eyes wide, stare at the slabs of raw meat. For a moment, a schism. the dogma, the anger. It all dissolves in the face of a single, undeniable truth. Third, Elder Kale emerges from the shadows of the wreckage, his face a mask of stone. He sees the mate. He sees the weary, blood-streaked faces of the young hunters. He sees Lyra, standing at their head, her expression not triumphant, but resolute. She drops her load at his feet. The Great One provides shelter, she says, her voice ragged but strong. But the world beyond its shadow provides life. We do not have to choose. Kale looks from the meat to the towering skeleton of the great sauropod, his faith wrestling with the reality before him. He sees the faces of his people, the hunger in their eyes already being replaced by a dawning hope. His gaze returns to Lyra, and in that moment, something profound shifts in the bedrock of their culture. It is not a surrender, but an evolution. He reaches down, his old hand touching the raw, cold flesh. Bring it inside, he commands, his voice raspy with an emotion no one can name. Bring it into the heart of the Great One. A new covenant is forged not in words, but in action. A symbiosis between the sacred shelter of the bone and the deadly promise of the sky. The clan, a nascent tribe of what will one day be called Homo sapiens, will remain, but they will no longer be prisoners of their temple. Pull back from this single fire, this one moment of painful growth. See it not as the story of one clan, but as a single, vital heartbeat in the epic of human evolution. Across the prehistoric world, 1,000 such dramas unfold. 8,000 Dale Warriors challenge 1,000 K-less. 8,000 desperate gambles are made against the crushing indifference of a planet ruled by titans. Most fail, most are lost to time, their bones crushed underfoot, their stories swallowed by the earth. But some succeed, and in their success, a new force is introduced into the brutal equation of this ancient earth. It is the audacity to see a stampede not as a threat to be fled, but as a weapon to be aimed. It is the foresight to map the paths of monsters and the courage to walk among them. This is the dawn of tactical thinking. The first, faint glint of the intelligence that would one day irrevocably alter the balance of power on this world. Their struggle is the quiet, unwritten preface to our own history, a testament to the fact that the ascent of humanity was never a gentle climb, but a desperate, bloody scramble out from under the shadows of giants. How many divine skeletons did our ancestors inhabit? And how many did they have to abandon before they learned to build temples of their own? For in the echoes of the deep past, we hear not the roar of monsters, but the first defiant whisper of mankind. But whispers can be deceiving, especially when they come from the deep.